go, Sarah here. Welcome back to another episode of You're Fucking Welcome. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about distracting yourself or delaying the success that's meant for you. And I'm not fully sure where I want to take this at the moment, but I was inspired by a conversation that I had with a client a couple weeks ago. And I just wanted to dive into some of the things that came up that I feel are really important and that are worth understanding and hearing no matter what stage of business that you're at. And so I'm going to dive into that in a moment, but I want to remind you that this is the final week to get in for Show Up and Blow Up. Doors close Friday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific, and they will remain closed till about May, June. I haven't quite decided exactly when we're going to relaunch it, but it will be unavailable until then. And I just want to stress to you, I'm getting emails, with people asking, is Show Up and Blow Up for me? Or, is this going to work for me because of these reasons? And, they're always, valid emails, and I'm certainly happy to receive them. But I want to shake so many of you and just make you understand that you making more money in your business is so much simpler than you're making it. And Show Up and Blow Up simplifies it for you. And I'm saying this so emphatically, not for myself, but for you. If you are still not making money consistently, if you still don't know each and every day what to do to bring in cash into your company, fucking do yourself a favor and buy this program. Again, I'm not saying that for me. Do I want you to buy it? Sure. But I'm saying it for you because you not knowing how to create money on a consistent basis in your business, lovingly, it's inexcusable. Right? I'm not saying that to shame you as much as I'm saying that it shouldn't be a thing. And I want you to hold yourself or create new standards for yourself that I'm not going to allow this to be okay anymore. I'm not going to allow myself to spin my wheels figuring out what platform I should show up on or what the perfect right move is. Fuck all of that. Sarah Dan has created a program that teaches you, again, how to simplify all of this, how to pick where to show up, how to show up there, how to sell there, and to make more money. And it's available to you on a silver platter. All it is $500 or 2 monthly payments or $275, and literally your entire world could be changed. And I'm saying, I know I said it already, but that's not for me, that's for you, because I want you to take a stand for that for yourself. And so, again, when I'm thinking about talking about this and what I wanted to share with you today, I had a conversation with a client a couple weeks ago, and she is somebody who, in a nutshell, has a successful contractor business, meaning she works as a contractor for different clients and does different things for different entrepreneurs, but she's been working on getting her own stuff up and running for a bit now. And, obviously, as we all, it's kind of transitioned a little bit, and there have been different iterations of it. But we were having this conversation about how easy it is to, when you are on the cusp of the thing that you've always wanted to do, how easy it winds up being to, I don't want to say self-sabotage, but to distract yourself. And this so often happens in the form of planning, in my opinion and my experience. So many of you right now, you were made for really big things. There's that platform. I know if I just started showing up on TikTok, I'd be killing it. I know if I just started the podcast, I would be crushing it by now. I know that that's what's meant for me. One day I'll do that. Someday I'll have that. And it keeps being this thing where it's a future goal, or it's a future destination, if you will. And again, it's for you, but there's something so comfortable about kind of holding it at an arm's length. And so again, you wind up distracting yourself or tinkering behind the scenes without even realizing it, because the step that would actually move the needle is right in front of you. But it's almost this thing where you can't trust it, because it's almost oh God, it doesn't feel like it's time yet. It couldn't possibly be time yet. It's coming in the future, but not quite yet. Not now. I have to do this first. I have to do that first. And I just want to stress to you that that is a way, again, of you distracting yourself and staying in the familiar, staying in the comfortable, while you keep the success that is meant for you, that is inevitably yours, at an arm's length. And I want you to hold yourself to this new level of worthiness that you say, fuck that, it's time now. It's time to start acting on this now. I have a weird thing that I want to share with you. And it's a weird example, but I think it paints a good picture of what a lot of you do in your businesses. And, to be clear, when I say a lot of you, I do the same thing, right? I see it more clearly, with clients, especially as they're trying to like ramp up their money making. I do it in new ways, right? Like, oh, I want to get this new platform going, or this new way of doing things. Like when I produced the card decks, it took so much of me to actually like get that done because it felt like such a big deal. I was distracting myself in other ways. And so the weird example that I want to share with you here is I was home for Christmas, and I don't want to say that I grew up in like a super messy household, but like we are definitely not the most like organized or neat people. Like we just have a lot of stuff, all of us. We have a lot of things. And I was observing, like it was, I don't know, a couple days after Christmas, and it was that situation where, like you've got all the Christmas dishes and you haven't put everything away yet. There's decorations out, so on and so forth. And it was kind of driving me crazy because at my parents' house, all the plates were still out and like they were all over the kitchen island. It was just feeling a little bit cluttered and a little bit messy, let alone, I'm there, Ellie's there, so there's extra stuff there that's not normally there. And it was just feeling a little bit cluttered. And my mom was ordering all of these things to put the dishes away, essentially, like, certain like organizers and so on and so forth. And not that that's not a valid thing to do, but I've just observed that like this has been a constant pattern of hers, that instead of just like tidying up, she's got to buy the thing that helps her tidy up. And looking at that as like this band-aid or this shiny object or as this way to distract herself, instead of just like doing the thing that would get her the result she wants, cleaning it up, but just putting the fucking dishes away. We don't need an apparatus to put the fucking dishes away. And again, it's just like a pattern that has gone on, so long in my family. And again, that includes for myself. But again, I wanted to give you that silly, odd example of that because I hope you can clearly see that, like, yeah, just put the dishes away. You don't sometimes you need something to put them in, sometimes you don't, but like it's a way of making it almost more fun for yourself or distracting yourself by going onto Amazon and buying the thing that you don't necessarily need instead of just doing the work. So many of you are doing this. So many of you are tinkering around on Amazon trying to find the perfect organizer for your dishes that's going to put it away the perfect way. And that's the thing that's going to finally let it be neat instead of just putting the dishes away. You are sitting there trying to figure out how to motivate yourself instead of just motivating yourself to take action. You are trying to figure out the perfect strategy for creating content instead of just creating content. And it's the gap, that's that gap right there that keeps, again, the success that you want at an arm's length, because it's this constant thing of like, I have to do this first, but first this. And I just wanted this episode to be a reminder to you to say, fuck that, and to get it done. Show up for what you know you are inevitably meant for. Let it be messy. I would not have a business if I had not allowed myself to just run with my ideas or take action when it felt scary. As we're talking about show up and blow up, and I'm talking about my own period of going from, an $8,000 month to a $45,000 month back in 2017 in a 30-day period, I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that it was a comfortable place for me to show up. Like it felt, and when I say I knew it, it wasn't that I had the experience or the receipts that it was going to be the right place to show up, but I felt it. I felt right about it. I knew that it was something that it made sense for me, like in my body. All of it. It just made sense to me that like, this is a breath of fresh air and this could be really cool if I just started showing up for it. And so that first live video wasn't great. The second one wasn't great. The third one wasn't great. Like they always have continued to get better and better, any little thing that I do with experience, right? Like that's literally whether I'm talking about the lives or freaking riding a bike, right? That's life, guys. That is life. You are not going to do it perfectly the first time. And I want so many more of you to stop letting that be this thing that holds off the thing that you ultimately want. You being afraid to get it wrong, or you being afraid to let it be messy. Let it be messy. Like there's so much bravery and there's so much strength and there's so much power in that. And I can promise you, you spending more time diddling around and tinkering with what the right way to do it is, it's not going to make the thing any less messy. It's just going to delay the messiness because you're still going to have to start at square one. You're still going to have to do that live video. Or you're still going to have to do that first TikTok, right? You're still going to have to actually do it. And all the planning in the world does not make that first doing, that first action any better. It doesn't. It just doesn't make it any better. And so I know I've obviously said these kind of things in millions of different ways before, But I wanted to present it to you today in this way that reminds you that I feel like I'm kicking your ass a little bit, but I also want this to be a thing where I'm giving you compassion here. Where like, I understand that you're afraid. I understand that you know big things are meant for you. And I know that big things being meant for you is really fucking scary. You up the stakes. You up the amount of people who possibly might judge you and have opinions and criticism about the way that you're showing up or the things that you say. And you might make a fool of yourself. And all of these things, like all of these very real things that there are to fear, I get it. I get it. And I have so much compassion for you. But my hope was me reframing it as like, really making it clear to you that you know you're meant for this, and you continuing to be in planning mode is you being in fear and you distracting yourself versus it being a valid thing that you have to keep planning, that you have to keep figuring it out, that you have to keep trying to figure out what the right way to do this is. That's not getting you further. It's simply distracting you. And again, I know you're scared. It's okay. But the only way that you're going to not be scared is if you start taking action and you start doing the thing that you know you're meant for. And the other thing that I had said to this client was she's in this place where, again, she's like launching this whole new side of her business. And she knows she was meant for this. She sees it very clearly. If she looks into her future, like this is what she's doing. This is how she's making money. This is how she's showing up in the world. She knows it's meant for her. She knows this is what she's meant to do. But it's been a situation where all of the ideas, I almost like envisioned her body in that moment as a boiling pot of water. I'm just envisioning like all the bubbles being hectic and crazy and like going all over the place, moving quickly. And it's like, but all of that staying stagnant within her body instead of actually sharing it with the world. And so it feels so much more hectic and it feels so much more chaotic because she hasn't given anybody a chance to actually feel her yet. I've called it the Tinkerbell effect for years, but for so long before I really started showing up consistently in my Facebook group, I thought about showing up consistently in my Facebook group. It was one of those things where I was like, okay, I'm going to start doing this. I'm going to start doing this next week, next Monday, whatever. And when I started doing it, or let me say it this way, before I started doing it, I was exactly that like boiling pot of water, right? With all the bubbles, it was so much frantic energy inside. And that's because I hadn't given myself the permission to release what was truly inside of me and what was meant to come out. It felt hectic and chaotic because I was not releasing what was meant to be released to the world. And the moment that I started showing up and I started giving people the opportunity to feel me, and therefore the opportunity to give me validation that I was on the right path, it made it that much more easy to keep going. Oh, they like this. They're clapping for me. Let me do it again. That feels really good that they're cheering me on. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. You can't experience that if you're staying in planning or stagnant mode. You can't experience that. So I was expressing to her, I was like, again, you're driving yourself crazy because you haven't taken the actual steps. You're working your ass off, but you haven't taken the actual steps that allow you to release those bubbles, if you will, right? To actually get that energy and get that work in front of other people so that they can feel you and they can validate that you're on the right path. It's all just in your head right now instead of actually being in action in the world. And it being in action in the world is going to be the thing that moves the needle. Of course, you know that already. You know that the action is what actually gets you results. But more than that, the action is the thing that validates you're on the right path. And that's the thing that actually makes you want to keep going. And so I just want so many more of you, again, with this episode, for you to remember you are meant for success. If you know it, if you know you're meant for success, you're meant for it. And I said this in an Insta story today, but like the tough love that I want to give you here is that you're not going to be successful. The success that you want is going to continue to elude you until you start betting on yourself, until you start trusting yourself, until you start saying, this is what I want to do, and I believe that's going to work, and I'm not going to stop until it works. It's not going to happen for you until you get to that moment. And that doesn't mean you don't have any doubts at all, but in this non-committed place where, again, those bubbles, that energy is kind of just like rolling and rolling and moving frantically around you, but you haven't given it the chance to actually live and be in the world, that's where you're going to keep yourself stuck. And so again, it's okay to have doubts. It's okay to have fear. But if you know you're meant for success, just stop putting it off. Stop putting off the inevitable and keeping it, again, at this arm's length when you know you want it and you want it now. Show the fuck up like you want it now. Show the fuck up accordingly. And, I'm not giving you tough love for my own sake here. I'm giving it to you for you because I've talked to so many of you. I've heard from so many of you where you're in this place where things haven't been moving forward and you're trying to, in the example of my mom, you're trying to find the perfect organizer, right, to clean up the plates instead of just putting away the plates. I want you to stop trying to find the perfect solution or the perfect prediction of how all of this is going to work, the perfect plan, and just start showing up, letting it be simple. And I assure you that when you do that, you will move the needle. And the other thing I want to say really quickly is that, Show Up and Blow Up right now, it's not a live group program the way that it previously was. But what'll happen is when we do it as a live challenge, the challenge itself is to show up for 30 days, to give to your audience and ask for the sale for all 30 days. And we have given a prize traditionally for this, for somebody, one person who has done that for all 30 days. And a conversation that I always have to have with people in this is people will get down on themselves like, oh, I missed one day and now I can't win the prize. And I'm like, if you were not showing up consistently and you showed up for 29 out of 30 days, do you understand how much you're winning right now? Like, I think sometimes we can lose sight of what's important. The goal for all of you is to take action and to take action consistently. That's the goal. And so if it's 29 days, God forbid, versus 30, let's not act as though the world is over. Let's not act as though we can't still get what we want. It's about the collective effort and action that we're taking over and over again consistently in our businesses. And again, I think sometimes we can lose sight and we can kind of get caught up in the wrong things that don't actually matter. And I think that's such a good example of it because again, yes, sure, I understand if you want to win the prize, great. But like the prize is actually you being consistent with your business and allowing things to add up for you and allowing for you to blow up what was previously there and have it be so much bigger, have so many more people paying attention to you, having so many more people actually paying you. That's the real goal here. And I just want you to remember that the momentum and the consistency that you're craving, it's on the other side of you stopping planning and simply starting to show up for what you know you're meant for. And for the love of God, if you don't know how to do this, buy Show Up and Blow Up. And I'm like, I'm not saying that because I want your money. I mean, I want your money. I want you to pay me. But I'm literally sitting over here with a program on a silver fucking platter that teaches you how to grab the success that you want. How to start showing up consistently, selling consistently, making money consistently, and again, allowing it all to be simple. And for $500 to not invest in that, if you're not making money consistently right now, it makes such little sense to me. It makes such little sense to me. And so again, I'm not saying that to like shame you or to bully you into buying from me. I want you to buy what feels aligned to you, but I also want you to hold yourself to new levels of worthiness, essentially, where you're able to say to yourself, like, I want this and I'm done waiting on it. I'm done being the person who is just going to be successful someday, who's going to make money someday, and I want it now, and I'm going to act and operate accordingly. And again, if if this is the first time you've listened to me and you can't stand me, cool. But some of you have been in my world for a while, guys. Like, let's fucking go. Let's go. Buy this program. Get your hands on this program. Listen to what I'm saying and implement these principles. And I believe with every bone in my body, your business will be in a better place for it. And I just want you to feel that is possible for you because it is, because it truly, truly is. Doors close Friday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific. I will talk to you in the next episode. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you took the time to rate, review, and subscribe. It really helps the show a ton, and I would be super grateful.